Hi there, this is Paul Thompson from Spitfire Audio. I'm doing a walkthrough of Loegria, second in the Albion series. This is a product that is designed for kind of detailed, maybe slightly more esoteric. It's kind of designed for intimate beauty, kind of choral use of sections. So it's really concentrating on the kind of more detailed and kind of more softer and more intimate side of orchestral ensemble writing. It's a chamber-sized section, and we used slightly more unusual instruments in the brass and woodwind section, but I'll come on to that soon. So I'm going to concentrate first of all on the orchestral multis, and you'll see here we've got orchestral multis, percussion multis, and Stevenson's multis. So let's have a look at the orchestral ones first, which are concentrated on the string section. Now we've just got the tree mics up at the moment, and I've loaded up the flautando. I'm going to play a little bit using the dynamics controller here, and then I'm just going to busk with both hands so you can hear the full range of the keyboard. So here's an example of the flautandos. So you can hear it's a really lovely, soft, beautiful sound. And if we use the different kind of mic controls here, we put up a kind of general mix, a little bit more close, maybe not quite so much tree, and kind of concentrate on the close and the outriggers. It kind of sounds like this. So I'll give you a quick example. So you can hear the perspective change as I move the mics, and it's incredibly nice to be able to have that kind of control. These are all automatable within your DAW, so you can kind of create a real changing aperture sound as you look at the individual sounds. So let's load up the consorts, and again we'll go for an interesting kind of mix of blend of the sounds. Here we go. And again, control from the So you get the idea. Let's load up our full section longs. So within Loegria we have full string sections and half sections, and here is what the full sections sound like. I'm going to lose the tree altogether. Okay, sounds like this. So you get the idea. If we want a kind of slightly more distant sound, then we can just go with the outriggers and the ambience. And then let's look at the half sections as a point of comparison. And again, we'll go for a classic Decca tree sound with the ambience in as well. Let's look at some of the short articulations. So we've got the pizzicatos. Stick to just the tree for this one. And then we've got some really lovely sounds in here. So the shorts con sordino. We've got our full shorts. And then we've got our coleños. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we've got these are basically looking at kind of concentrating on the more delicate side of the section, say. So they're really lovely, delicate, soft ones. We've got our trems. So you've got a full range of dynamic going right up to the so very expressive in there, and that covers the. So actually it might be useful to go into the so within the instruments folder, again we have our different sections here. We've got the string sections, and then if I just replace that, you'll see what the different articulations that are on offer here. So most of the stuff we've already seen, and then we've got obviously our kind of legatos, our half section legatos. We've got some harmonics, trills, and then the flat-hander we heard. So some of these extra articulations are just within the individual sections high and low and not presented in the multis. So if we have a quick listen to the legato, it sounds like this. And then the half section legato, which sounds like this. And then our harmonics, which sound like this. And finally, our trills. So the minor trills and the major trills. And again, full control of dynamics. So that's the strings. Just for the sake of completeness, I'll show you the lows. And again, you've got the same kind of stuff. You've got the full section and half section legato. And the stuff that we saw before in the multis. So let's look next at the Darwin percussion ensemble. So there are some multis for this as well, but let's for the purposes of this walkthrough, let's have a quick look at the actual patches. So you can see you've got an option between tighter and looser sounds. And as you can hear, those are looser than the tight versions. And then you've got two different types of ambience. So you can blend these to get some really interesting effects. These can also be routed to different outputs, so you can do a quad or with some of the other patches, a surround type of mix. Let's have a quick look at some of the other patches. End of days. And if we put all the mics up, and you can see that you can play two-handed for these. And we've got the looser versions as well. So, moving on to the fine drums. We've got our metal shop. Sub hits. Swells. And then if we just look at the all toms patch, you can see that goes all the way across the keyboard. You've got a massive selection of toms, and then those are broken down into high, low and mid as well. So looking at the reversals next, you've got a few controls on here. So you've got three kind of basic kind of categories of reversals. These are the grubby ones, slightly dirtier sound. You've got an audition slider which enables you to cut into the samples to hear what the character of them is going to be. You've got a length slider to shorten them, and then you go right from the beginning like this. So you get the idea. These are all reverses that you can use to go into a bar line for transitions and things like that. So some cool stuff in there, and then just to check out the smooth ones, let's audition up, length there. So you get the idea. You can really kind of control how these work, and if you go in, you've got a little bit more control under the spanner with transpose, and then we've got our effects panel as well, so you can add some effects to those as well. So looking at the Steam Band next, we've got a couple of different categories in here. We've got a number of patches which have mod wheel control. And these have got two different, again, totally different mic perspectives. And these are designed in such a way that you can make a kind of surround version of the pad. So that's how we designed them, was we designed them in surround, but you can obviously use them just as kind of stereo mixes. And all of these sounds are basically created from the original sample, orchestral sample content. So they're really great sounding pads, but they're kind of organic sounding. Let's just pick some at random. And again, mod wheel control. And let's pick a couple more. So tons of really atmospheric stuff in here. And from our own Stanley Gabriel, some also interesting takes on the original sample content. And continuing. here, some of them kind of more sound designy. And some of them more musical. So this is an interesting example where Stan's created a really interesting effect. So if you hold the key down, whoops, do that again. If you hold the key down, you get a tighter end. If you kind of hit it staccato, you get the longer release. So you can kind of, just by the way that you play, how long you hold the notes down for, you can create a really interesting sound where some of the decays are much quicker and some of them are kind of triggering from the release. If I make that even longer like that and make the decay even shorter, you'll see what I mean. So it's almost like the kind of middle pedal of a piano, but applied to a kind of synth engine. Not quite like that, but you know what I mean. You can get the kind of, you can play some parts, some notes staccato, and some notes can get the extra length. So the throaty organ. And then finally, let's just have a listen to this last one, and we'll put the ambience in as well. So some really lovely stuff in there as well. So in the Steam Redux section, we've revisited the original Steam orchestra and kind of created some new content for that as well. But some lovely stuff. Let's just pick some patches at random. Here's one that's got the FX panel enabled. If you want to turn off the distortion, for example, and lo-fi. So there's lots of kind of tweaking functionality within there. Glitches in space and time. Cool stuff going on there. Mist over Bermondsey Docks. Some nice stuff. Just have a look at a few more. So as you can hear, there's a load of great stuff in there. And then finally, oh, sorry, swellers. And these sounds, by their kind of characteristic, and we could kind of go crazy by pitching this stuff right down. Get some wonderful low throbbing ambiences like that. So let's go up and have a look at the final section of the library, which is the Byron Tapes. And we'll look at these freestyle loops first. You start out with a menu. So let's go for that bossa nova. and it's syncing to the tempo. And then we've got these different treatments, so check this out. So these are different mixes, different signal paths, and you've got this for all of the content. So if we go through, if we pick the ballad sticks, there's a couple of different kind of things in here. And then the ambience is always on the C. So some pretty cool stuff in there. Now when the band comes in, you get some really interesting bits. And as you can see, we've got a couple of different options. So we're going to the no piano versions. Oh, and we'll go back up to the proper tempo. So these are kind of useful for, you know, maybe little sampley bits, stuff like that. It's kind of like a kind of modern reimagining of what Mellotron tapes were back in the day. But as you can hear, you've got all kinds of cool stuff in here. I'll just pick one more. Actually, MI5, it's one of my favourites. So we'll go for the... So you get the idea. Lots of fun stuff in there. Just a slightly alternative take on things, as we were working on a kind of, you know, maybe a slightly more kind of indie, slightly more esoteric library than the kind of more straightforward Albion 1 library. So that's an overview of the Albion 2 Loegria library. We're at version 3 on this library and still really enjoying using this for the more delicate side of ensemble recording. Hope you enjoyed that walkthrough and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye.